Hello and welcome along to the On the Whistle podcast. I'm your host, Nabi, and today we have our very special live show. We're doing a PSL preview show, and with us, we have no one better to get stuck into it than Lawrence Collar. Yes, not the man with the chrome dome, he's the man with the wonderful blonde hair. Ese que pasa, homie? How are you doing? How's Johannesburg?
It's all good. It's all good. On the Whistle has got evolved Wi-Fi for live shows these days, kicking into the 25-26 season, and we are very excited about these developments. And long may it continue. And this is now silver rather than
Silver.
bronze. You saw last week. You saw last week.
Listen, if you hide that beautiful hair under a beanie, Mr. Cola, how are we gonna be able to give you its props? But listen, for all of you wanting a PSL preview, your overview to Africa's richest league and one of the most intense competitions. Yes, it's dominated by Sundowns. Let's just be real about that. They have won 9 of the last 10 leagues, but this is Africa's pinnacle in many ways in terms of organization, in terms of money, in terms of clubs. It's got the Soweto superpower. So, look, Lawrence, let's not just waste any time. Let's get going into it. And for those of you out there who want everything to know about the PSL, you got to subscribe to Lawrence Collar's social media accounts. He's done all the previews. There's been a whack of different things going on this week that you can get. He's gone in depth with all teams in the competition. Lawrence is an African football expert. He's a journalist from the Ediski Times. I got to start in the only possible place that we can start, Lawrence, because everyone's saying it. Is the league over before it even begins? Sundowns have won 8 in a row, 9 of the last 10 on a fresh off the FIFA Club World Cup, where they would have got a significant amount of money for their performances there. Is the title race over before it's even begun? Spoiler alert.
Um, yeah, if I had to, I mean, not just me, if anybody had to be a betting person, they would be saying, Sundowns will win their ninth title. I think the start of last season, I said they wouldn't run away with it, but they'll still win it, even if they have issues. But this year, they also have issues. They've got Ribeiro who wants to leave, they've got Mudau who wants to leave, but he'll probably stay, maybe get a new contract. Got Shadulile is about to leave, and those are three, vital
Mm,
components of their team, and they haven't really, secured their targets before the season started, which is very unlike Sundowns. Administratively, they always sound like they identify who they want in, who they want out. So there's obviously a couple of players that's in limbo, but I think the reprieve that they have is that they had Chan. So your Maemas, your Johannes, your Mashejos, your Nkosis, they had Chan now, so maybe they can get their moves off the Chan. So in terms of that squad harmony, there's potentially, a little bit of I don't know, like unsettled team, but I mean they didn't really show that against Richards Bay. They smashed Richards Bay 4-0 at Lucas Moripe in the MTN8.
mm,
Quite a one-sided game. I think I was looking at the data at halftime. Richards Bay had 18% possession, so that just shows you it's the usual dominant Sundowns. Um, yeah, most of us said at the Club World Cup, Sundowns don't need to sign a player to continue winning this league because they're that good. Their current squad, and even if a Ribeiro leaves or Shalulile, I feel like Motiba comes in. Reines will still
mm.
be there. Letlaku, Mabena, these teenagers that are dying for minutes. So there's a lot, still in the artillery. Cardoso as well is probably hungry to, prove himself again this season. He walked away. I mean, he arrived maybe December, walked away with the
Hmm.
league title, but that was it. So there's obviously a lot of domestic cups that the squad and the coach and the technical team want to chase. But if you look at Pirates, I think they're the only genuine contenders this season. Sekukuni would be my dark horses. Stellenbosch, Sekukuni and Stellenbosch would be my dark horses, but I don't think they're quite there yet. because there's so much competitions to compete for, especially Stellenbosch in CAF Confederations Cup, Chiefs is on CAF Confederations Cup. Their squads maybe not ready to handle that. So yeah, I think Pirates, but their challenge is now that they also have a huge squad. I don't know if you watched the game against Polokwane. Really impressive again. The team was looking really good, but there was a picture at like around about maybe the hour mark. There was maybe how I'm not even exaggerating. There was maybe 20 people in the stands,
Oh
20
wow,
Pirates players in the stands.
wow.
So that's something that we used to see at Sundowns, and I think they're moving away from that. Like the coach even said that after the Club World Cup and the start of the season, we want to work with a manageable squad, and we can't have players that we never use. Never said
Mm.
hardly use. He said never use, which is important. And if Pirates don't fix this, they'll have that situation where they'll have players that they never use. And the coach admitted that's gonna both Cardoso and the new Pirates coach Wadu admits that's gonna create this harmony.
Give us some insight on Wadu, because obviously Jose Riviera, very successful at Pirates, a cup
Mm.
specialist. I think he did as well as he possibly could, given the iron fist that Sundowns held the league in. I mean, what do we expect of the new coach? I mean, we agree Downs are the bookies' favorites. I think they're everyone's favorites to win, but is the squad ready to challenge?
Look, Wadu is not beating around the bush and saying, "Look, I wasn't here to come bold for another 3 years. I'm not here to chill." Was his exact words. He was here to continue a 3-year project that was started by Rivero in a 5-year vision of Orlando Pirates to dominate South African football, and by dominating that means win the league again for the first time since what 2012, or
Mm,
even I'm not sure the dates. And apologies for that. Um, compete in the Champions League and continue dominating in like domestic cup competitions, which they won the MTNA 3 times, the Nedbank Cup twice in 3 years. So they need to chase that and the calling knockout, and they've got a huge squad for that. I think they signed 13 players this season, and the players are looking really good. Against Polokwane, that's Sihle Nduli and Sipho Mbule, 2 new signings. They had 6 debutants. The other ones were Moremi, Mbutuma, Oswin Apollos, man of the match on his debut, and Abdullah Mariko, another interesting signing they got from Joliba, from Mali. So they obviously did well in the Champions League. But got the picked the eye of Orlando Pirates, and here we are. So look, Wadu, he seems very confident. He seems very knowledgeable. I mean, he's a guy that has what over 60 caps for Morocco. He played in Europe. He went the long route through development coaching at OGC, at Nancy in
mhm,
France. He had some time in Algeria with the national team, brief stint with Jamal Belmadi, which was very controversial for Moroccan to pick with the Algerian national team. He went to then coach
mm,
in Benin, AS Vita, Marumo Gallants for 6 months, and in that 6 months, he obviously made an impression. Just his behavior, like his
mm,
professionalism. He's a gentle giant. When you approach him, like no matter who you are, he treats you like you are important. You know what I mean? And I think that probably stems into his man management as well in a
mm.
pirate squad where everybody needs to feel important. He says you need a 11 to win a game, but you need a squad to win a championship. So he's saying all the right
Yeah,
things.
he was saying he was saying something like, and Lawrence, forgive me for coming in here, that
No.
he doesn't call them substitutes, he calls them
Mm,
impact players. Now that's a very
yes,
rugby term right there, but like
bomb
it
squad.
shows the mindset.
Yeah, but it's the truth because like if you think about it,
Mm,
the Pirates midfielder of the season was Makahleni Makaula, which is the PSL midfielder of the season, right? Mbata was his partner, his preferred partner for most of the season, and he was in the Bafana squad. Like one of the first names in the team sheet.
mm,
Both of them didn't start, and Sitle and Dule and Mbule had an amazing game. You had Mofokeng, Maswangani, Dlamini were important players, and then the two strikers who scored the goals, Mabasa and Mahopa, they didn't start.
yes.
Mabasa Mahopa wasn't even on the bench. So you are talking about the development of a serious bomb squad, in terms of, like, going into the Champions League, going into the domestic cups, because there are now more interesting players,
Mm.
that can do the job. But let's see. It's only been one game. Let's see how they open up the season, because it's a massive game against Sekukune. Eric Tinkler Sekukune have also strengthened, but Pirates are at home. So I asked him, and you can check the video on my YouTube channel, how important is it for another statement victory? And by statement victory, it means like, show everyone you're not here to play around. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Sekukune, fourth place last season. Sekukune is strengthening. Sekukune wants to be that team that goes beyond the nearly men tag. They want to compete for titles. Make a statement against them, not only to warn the rest of the league, but also emphasize to your fans who sold out your opening game against Polokwane
Yes.
City that you guys need to come week in, week out, because not only did they win well against Polokwane, they also played well, entertained, and they had that je ne sais quoi, that Kasi
Hmm.
flavor, where the boys were dancing on the ball and things like that. So, that's something that Pirates have. That's something that, traditionally Sundowns have as well. That gets the fans excited, and they love coming to the stadium. Chiefs
Yeah.
has lost that a little bit, but let's see what happens this season.
Yeah. So right now we're seeing Sundowns as the obvious favorites, Pirates as the title contenders. Look, those of you who are listening out there, please post a comment, leave a review, ask us some questions in the live stream. Lawrence is the man you want to ask all this stuff to, because not only is he got the best hair in the business, he's also got a wonderful brain in that skull. Before we move on to talk about the return of a team to Bloemfontein, um, we've
Mm.
obviously dedicated time to talking about Sundowns and Pirates, but in terms of the best of the rest, is there any other team you think we should have a lens on?
Whew, that's a difficult one. Look, I mean, there's ones in football. There's ones you want to do well, because I mean, even as a journalist, you can never remain completely impartial. You're gonna take a liking
Mm,
to a certain coach, or a certain player, or a certain city, or a certain club, because you like the color of their kit. It's small things like that. But there's so many different teams now in the situation that you look at. There's Amazulu. The team looks completely different. You want Arthur's wanted to do well because he's such a nice guy.
mhm.
There's new faces coming in, and that's always exciting to fans, for media, to see, hey, there's a new young players coming in. There's Chupa under Badela, who obviously was the assistant coach of Rulani Mukwena.
Mhm.
He's now first head coach role in the top flight of South African football. They've got a brand new team led by a sporting director, Sinesipo Mali, who has a beautiful story of how he started at Chupa as a scout, went to Chiefs, worked at Bafana, worked at Sekukune, and now he's a sporting director of Chupa with a young coach in Badela. And they've obviously made maybe close to 10 signings to transform the
Mm,
squad. But if you have to ask me who are the ones that we have to be looking out for, it's Stellenbosch. They beat third.
yeah,
And when I listen to the coaches, like at the launch, he was the only one who said, it's not a rebuilding job. He's like, I'm happy with my squad.
Baxter.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the season
Not
to start,
Baxter.
and I think we have
Parker.
great depth. Yeah, Steve
Yes.
Parker.
Yeah.
So he says, I think we have great depth. Whereas the others were all on the fence and saying, yeah, we're rebuilding. The first few games of the season, we'll see where we are. And like they play, like they just, where Barker's like saying, I'm happy, let's go. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So yeah, Siwelele, look, they take the nucleus of Super Sport United. They have most of their players.
Well,
So
that's the
not much
natural
of a rebuilding
transition for
job.
us, right?
Yeah.
Because
Siema,
with football's
Siema's also
returning to
done well.
Bloemfontein.
Yeah, but I'm saying Siema's been at Celtic before. He did well there. Siema did well at Sekukune. So look, he knows what he's doing, clearly. Disciplinarian coach. He likes to
Mm,
work with players that he's previously worked with. So I'm not I'm not going to be surprised if on Friday or Saturday, I think it was Friday, tomorrow is, that they announce players that they've worked with before, like maybe a Potane who's coming from Chiefs, a Lutuli
Hmm.
who was with him at Celtic, just to get that familiarization of his system, and to improve what Supersport had. Because Supersport always had good deep players. They got good development players, players that's in the under 20 national team. So yeah, they'll build on that. It's a touch and go situation. They could either go really well, like a Royal AM when they bought Celtic.
Hmm.
Remember, they came third. They came third in
Yes.
the league in that first season, or they could, just be like, what is going on? Administratively, they have to get things right. Let's see. We can't tell where they are at that stage.
Well, the question I want to ask, Lawrence, and again, remember, we're obviously broadcasting to Pan African audiences. Just remind them of what football was like under Bloemfontein Celtic and how this franchise has come to be with the sports minister, South African sports minister, Gaten McKenzie's son in charges. I mean, it's a really interesting story of how football has returned to Bloemfontein, which is in the hinterland of South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, even before he became the Minister of Sports and Arts and Culture, he's been saying we need to bring Bloemfontein Celtic back. Why it's important to bring, everybody knows why it's important to bring Bloemfontein Celtic back. But I just have this this like feeling of like people are trying to take advantage of it all of a sudden. Like, for example, Marumo Gallants, like out of nowhere, they said, "Hey, we're gonna go to Bloemfontein because they saw they could sell out stadiums there, and that there's no professional football there, and that Bloemfontein Celtic fans are still present and
Mm,
hungry for football." So I just feel like, you know, it's like almost like just opportunistic at this point. Um, Somebody needed to get into the league because Rola M was expelled, and according to the PSL, this was the best option. You know what I mean? This consortium led by Gayton McKenzie's son, whose name is known as Calvin Lejon, um, has come in and filled the 16th spot in the league. Look, they haven't relocated completely. They're still using Supersport United's training ground, Supersport United's academy, Supersport United DDC team, and for the better part, their technical squad, which was the Andre Ardens, the Grant Johnson, and what have you. Um, Looks like Mark Williams, the Bafana legend, is involved there. I don't know. Apparently, he's going to be part of the DDC squad, and he's an advisor to the chairman as well. But yeah, I don't know exactly how this happened or where they got the money from. And I don't think I want to probe and find out, because maybe that's not where we should be probing right now. I'm just seeing, there is a lot of doubts now. If you speak to people in the media and you're like,
mm.
do you think this is gonna work? This is linked. This is almost like is a political link towards this. Is this gonna work? We don't know. But we're
It's
hopeful
just, but
for the
it's a
people of
star
Bloom that it does
football
work.
base, right, Lawrence? That's what everyone's coming in there for because we all know the color and the excitement that was around Bloemfontein Celtic fans, and even the name that they've chosen, right, is the nickname of Celtics
Yeah,
that used to
yeah,
exist. So,
because somebody owns the Bloemfontein Celtic naming rights for 6 million rand, and he doesn't want to sell it, and he's saying that he's gonna bring back Bloemfontein Celtic in the national first division, which is a second tier of South African football. So that's where I get to that point of like, it seems very opportunistic that people just want to cash in on a brand that is thriving, a brand that can thrive rather, where
mm,
somebody owns the naming rights. He says, I'm not going to sell it, I own it. You must pay me so and so. And then Gayton McKenzie says, this guy is just talks too much. He's broke. He can't revive Bloemfontein Celtic. We can. And then they come through with this Siwelele branding. Look, I mean, I hope it's not a vanity project, honestly, because the fans deserve better than that. They deserve good
sure,
football. They deserve
sure, and
sustainable,
and, and
sustainable
I think
football club.
it's good to ask these questions, right? And I guess I mean, I didn't really have this in my rundown, but there'll be fans out there who, for the last decade or longer, would have been used to seeing Supersport United in the Premier Soccer League, a team that built a dynasty when Gavin Hunt won 3 titles in a row, um, in the late noughties and early 2010s. Of course, I
Mm,
remember before that when that was Pretoria City, right? That franchise
mm.
was bought by Supersport, and obviously there was some controversy surrounding that. Supersport
Yeah,
now
yeah,
is going to have a team in the league. The team that was
yeah.
broadcasting the league had a team in the league, and obviously when Supersport now is no longer in the Premier Soccer League, that the club decided, Supersport, the broadcaster, decided to sell the club. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to get at here is it going to look a bit weird that one of the titans in modern football history are no longer there, Lawrence?
Yeah, I think it will be, but the brand of Super Sport United, for me, it was always something like we know what they've done, we know the achieved, we know the respect that they've garnered, we know the
Yeah,
professionalism and the standards that they set. But the brand Super Sport United was never something that I was like exciting, It's like, oh, it's the TV sponsorship team, you know what I mean?
sure.
That's not to say that I'm not, discouraged or upset that they're gone. I would have loved to have seen them get a red strip and be called Pretoria City again and
Mm,
become and get an investor and become actual rivals for
to
Mamelodi
Sundowns.
Sundowns again,
Yeah,
because they remember
agreed.
they still have the nucleus, the academy coaches, the structure, the history, the know-how of developing players, and you don't want to lose that because eventually we're
Mm,
going to lose it. South African football is eventually going to lose it when Bloemfontein Celtic maybe is revived or Siwelele decides, okay, we are ready to leave Gauteng now and be based in Johannesburg, and then it's just all gone. Everything is disappears into thin air. So in the last few years, Supersport weren't like really, go developing from under 7 or whatever, like the Chandre Campbell stories. They were actually, identifying talent at amateur clubs, bringing them in and developing them quickly. Like your Imi Okons
mm,
come from Randburg, your Tebogo Mokoena comes from Harmony, your Sipumpule comes from Harmony. There's other kids that came from Ubuntu, that was there, and other academies across South Africa. So they had this know-how. But the thing is, yeah, I would have loved to have seen them stay in Pretoria. Like we knew SuperSport was gonna go. We knew for a very long time. It was always the rumors, the rumors, the rumors. And like, let's say if somebody bought SuperSport, like they got like an owner to come in and he loves the brand. Do you think it would have been valid or smart to save? I'm asking you now. The name SuperSport United, that is tied to a corporate entity. Does does that
no,
brand resonate for building towards a future? Not really. You know what I
no,
mean?
100%.
Exactly.
It
Especially if
looks
SuperSport is no longer evolved.
do you know what it reminds me of, Lawrence? Like, I'm sure you've seen
Mm.
it. Like in cycling, you'll have Team Sky
Yes, yes, yes,
or
yes.
Team US Postal Service or Team whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just
Or Red
rebrand the team
Bull.
when a new sponsor comes in. And like
Yeah, or
in
like
the
Red
football
Bull comes in,
ecosystem,
like,
right?
mm,
And sorry, in the cycling ecosystem, that's okay. But in football, it
mm,
doesn't work that way because cycling people follow events. You'll follow the Tour de France or the Giro d'Italia. See, I'm even talking like I know cycling. I know nothing about cycling, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
you
yeah.
follow the races rather than the teams, right? Whereas in
Yes.
football, you got to connect with your community, you got to connect with your city. So seeing that
Yeah.
Pretoria City brand grow, they could look for political reasons. Maybe Tshwane City should have been the new name,
Mm,
okay? Or
yes.
Tshwane Metropolitan, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. But no, there's
Yeah,
always a
yeah.
gimmick. That's what I felt like Supersport United was. It was a gimmick. Like they bought a
Mm.
team because Supersport was a powerful broadcaster. You know, we were playing
It's
in
an
the
extension of the
DSTV
brand.
Premiership.
Look, okay, they weren't always in the DSTV Premiership, but that was a little bit weird. Look, I mean, nobody wants to addresses things because it's like, if it was one of the big three clubs, which, they were one of the big clubs and slowly but surely deteriorated into like, an established club.
Mhm.
But they almost got relegated last season. And then I think that was testament to the rot that was going on in that club, of the
Yes,
uncertainty of where they're gonna be next season, who they're gonna be next season. Am I gonna be here next season? You know what I
yes,
mean? So yeah,
yeah.
Gavin Hunt said he would write an award-winning book if he had to explain exactly what happened there. Look, none of us, nobody wants to really disclose these things in public, but
No, sure.
couldn't have
But
been pretty.
yeah. Look, uh,
Um,
I,
but
I,
yeah.
I was going to go, look, Lawrence, I know you've got a lot of news gathering to do. The week isn't over and there's still lots of press conferences, etc., that you got to get out to. See, you're having your cup of coffee. For those of you listening out there, come on, it's PSL preview time. Leave a comment, leave a review. You can
Mhm.
find us on our social media accounts at OTW_podcast on X, on Facebook, and of course on TikTok and Instagram. Of course, on YouTube and Facebook. Just search for the On the Whistle podcast. Something that people will be interested in, Lawrence, are maybe a few players to watch. Do you have maybe some contenders for players of the seasons or other stars that fans should be getting excited about?
Hmm. It's a tough one, eh? Like, because we've only had like a little bit of you know just bigger teams pre-seasons. We had the KZN Premiers Cup, so we haven't seen like everybody yet. So you're always gonna have a bias towards the bigger teams. But like for example, in the top three this season was Kaletso Magalo. Somebody was playing in the second division the season before. But we knew him from his days at Sundowns and what have you. But I think somebody's going to have a chip on their shoulders. Ikram Reyners, he was up there, until the end of the season, neck and neck with his teammate
Hmm.
Lucas Ribeiro, who ended up winning all the awards. Look, I think it's more of when than if Ribeiro goes. And then Reyners is going to have a serious chip on his shoulder and say, Operation Fat Alice this season.
Are,
I need to win
are you
Golden Boot.
surprised no one's tried to sign Reyners off the back of the FIFA Club World Cup?
Not really. His age. No, I'm saying his age. His age is the definite fact. If Ikram was 23, 24, 25, for sure he'd be gone. But I just think that
But not even like
you
an
know
African
um
team up north would try swoop in and get him.
no chance they get him, even if they tried. No
Okay,
chance.
they wouldn't break the bank tonight.
There's
Fair
yeah, I
enough.
mean Esperance tried to sign him before he joined Sundowns. And then Sundowns heard of that interest and then activated his buyout clause. And that was it. Done. You know what I mean? Because they knew if Rangers had to go to Esperance, oof,
Yeah,
we could
problematic.
have had a different Champions League last season.
Sure, but yeah. So keep going. Anybody else that fans maybe need to look out for from some of the other teams?
I think Osman Apollos at Pirates. And then at Stellenbosch, Sanele Bonds had a really good start to the season. He was very unsettled in the beginning, so I think maybe this is just something that turns the corner for him. And then Munapule Saleng is somebody that was heatedly debated and highly talked of due to his issues at the Orlando Pirates that has led him now to go return to his boyhood club Orbit College, where he started his semi-pro career before bursting onto the scene for Pirates and Free State Stars and Bafana Bafana. He's there on loan. So it might be something interesting to look out for. A newly promoted team with probably one of the best players in the league. And he's home. So yeah, let's see. Maybe Saleng can have one of those crazy seasons, and it'll
Sure.
be exciting for everyone to see. And I'm sure everybody will be happy to see him enjoying his football again.
Now, Lawrence, before you run out to cover your press conferences, I got to ask you. Like, we've had some teams come up, we've had some teams, face some issues. Who is going to be in the PSL relegation battle? Who are the
Ooh,
teams that are going to be fighting to avoid the drop? Because in the South African League, the bottom team goes down and the second bottom team plays in a playoff, correct?
yeah. Last year, I had the same question. I said Royal M and Magezi. Royal M didn't exist, and Magezi shocked me. They ended up winning a trophy, and they had like this late surge under the Gama, and they finished, I think, like 13th.
Mm-hmm.
They could have even like by a little bit of luck, they could have even finished in the top eight. But that surge came out of nowhere. They will look dead and buried for a long time. My guess this season would be hmm, Richards Bay is gonna, in my opinion,
Throwing hate
this is
on
my opinion. I
KZN.
think,
Throwing hate. That's just hate
yeah,
on
no,
us.
I just think that the other teams might have a little bit more than them.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is Richards Bay and
Orbit College.
look, Orbit College is a funny one because they have the same team that they've had for so many years, and they've just added Saleng, Madiba, and
Mm-hmm.
Moleleki from Pirates. So maybe they have that team chemistry and that heart and that desire, because it's like players that's coming from, like the amateur ranks all the way to the Premier League. They have a clear game model and thing. I think Marumo Gallants and Richards Bay, in my opinion,
Will be the two battling.
like that's the ones that yeah, because like that's also potentially just because I maybe the lack of knowledge that I have of the current players that's gonna
Sure.
create that opinion. And Gallants is always a team. You'll look at the team like, who are these guys? I've never heard of them. And then at the end of the season, everybody knows who they are, and they scatter around to different Premier
Oh,
League clubs. So I can't always write them off. But if I had to say, I think those teams, they don't they might struggle. But let's see. End of the day, it could be Magezi again. It could be Durban City. Who knows?
don't throw hate on the KZN clubs. I know you don't like us.
And then Richards Bay finishes top four this season at the end, and then I look like a fool.
Well, let's make it fun. Before you go, this is my final question, really quickly. Okay, I'm going to ask you a couple of
Wait,
questions.
because you took me out of early morning. I just need to take a bite of my breakfast here,
Go.
and then I'll have the brain power to answer this question.
Well, listen, this is our perfect time to plug it. Listen, we are going to do more live content on the Whistle podcast. This is the start of something. We want to engage you, our community, our fans, our people out there. I don't like using the word fans. I like community because we're all a family sitting around this big Pan African, South African football bride. I was with a friend of mine yesterday, and we had our kids playing in the back garden, and he pulled out a Corona, and I immediately get whenever I see Corona, I think of Fast and the Furious and Vin Diesel, and I go, familiar. We're familiar. I love it.
Familiar.
And see Lawrence with the new blonde hair. I'm going, familiar. Yeah, ese, compadre. ¿Qué pasa? You know. Anyway,
That was
we
such a
want to
good.
do
That
more
was
with
such a
our
good
family
movie.
out there. Sorry, go on, Lawrence.
It was such a good movie until it became like 007. Like I don't know what happened there.
They lost me at Tokyo Drift or whatever it was.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But be that as it may, I'm gonna ask you some quick questions, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Honestly, this is super quick. Okay, my
Yeah.
title contenders to win it for a ninth season in a row. I'm going with Sundowns. What's your pick?
I'll go for Sundowns as well.
Okay, who will win the cup competitions? MTN 8. Who's your pick?
Stellenbosch.
Stellenbosch. Oh, it's good money to get, right? Have they taken it up from 8 million?
10, yeah.
Love it. Um, and then your cup competitions, your other two cup competitions in South Africa. Who wins them?
Look, this has been a very difficult one to predict. Stellenbosch won it in Magezi over the last 2 years. So uh, let's throw in a Durban for the KZN hate. Let's throw in a Durban City or Richards Bay this season. Now, honestly, I think let's go Sundowns. Let's go Sundowns. I think they want to do
To
better
win some
in
domestic
domestic
cups.
cups this season. And if I have, if I have Stellenbosch as MTN 8, then let's say Sundowns for calling knockout.
And in Africa, we have teams competing, right? We've got Sundowns, we've got Stellenbosch, we've got Pirates.
Al Ahly.
Is that because of Riviero? Simple as that.
Nah, it's just that they didn't win it last year. It's just like it's inevitable. Didn't win last. Okay, don't win the next one.
Sundown fans, please like and subscribe. Alani fans, definitely like and subscribe. Listen,
Did you see the business this club did this season? It's crazy. Like it's
Sure.
crazy. Honestly, the business they did.
Yeah.
But
Look,
yeah, Al Ahly is super strong, and Rivero's first season, he's also going to be hungry to get these trophies that he couldn't get in South Africa because of being by Sundowns. So
Sundowns.
you know,
Well,
he now wants to also flex a little bit.
well, listen, guys, all of you out there, we'll get into our Africa preview show later on the CAF Champions League and what to expect. Lawrence has given you a great hook for that. Lawrence, I wish you well. I know you're busy. Thank you for popping up live. And next time we'll try and make sure the whole family is here. It's just not me and you bright and early on a Thursday morning. Wish you well, my friend,
for sure.
and look forward to seeing all the latest news from you. Thank you for dialing in for this. And of course, our community out there, we say it all the time. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, share in the WhatsApp groups. We are trying to grow our community and keep the conversation going. Hasta la vista, Lawrence.
Cheers, guys.
Okay, let me stop it.